are college athletes as intelligent as regular students that get admitted into these universities? Well, that's a question that Mary Willingham is trying to bring up, especially because of the fact that she is in charge, or was in charge, of tutoring student athletes at UNC, the University of North Carolina. Now, she noticed that while she was tutoring some of these athletes, some of them didn't even know how to read. So she didn't understand how they got accepted into the university in the first place. And there have been a number of scandals in the past where professors have been forced to pass student athletes just so they can qualify and continue to play sports for the university. Now, CNN did a very, very lengthy piece on this topic, and they did their own analysis to see what the reading level is for these student athletes, and their findings were pretty disastrous. But first, let's take a look at Mary Willingham's analysis that she did specifically at the University of North Carolina. She found that out of the 183 students that she reviewed, 60% read between the 4th and 8th grade level, and 8% to 10% read below a 3rd grade level.
That's, yeah, I would categorize that as disastrous. Because what they're majoring in is football or basketball, and they just don't care. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's the teachers and the administrators and the coaches throughout their entire educational career who said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Concentrate on football, concentrate on basketball, etc.
Because that's what makes them the money. Okay, at the end of the day, that is what is extremely profitable, and we'll get to those numbers in just a second. But CNN also did its own independent analysis of this because they wanted to see if this is a widespread issue. They specifically focused on public universities because with public universities, you have these open record laws. They apply so they can access SAT scores and ACT scores. What they found out of the 27 institutions that actually replied to their requests was the following. Based on data from the requests and dozens of interviews, a CNN investigation revealed that most schools have between 7% and 18% of revenue sports athletes who are reading at an elementary school level. Some had even higher percentages of below threshold athletes.
Okay, so again, bit of a disaster. Look, I have anecdotal evidence from my end. CNN did a great job here, which you don't hear me saying often, but nice job on a sports report here. I wish they did political reporting as well. A person I knew was actually a tutor for USC athletes. And her experience was, oh my God, they don't know anything. They can't write an essay. It's like it takes forever to help them figure out how to write a decent essay. Now, there's content issues and then there's grammar issues, etc. For example, one of the athletes who went on to the NFL, by the way, was asked, how do we, how would you help the overpopulation issue in, I forget if it was the country or specifically LA. And his thesis was, stop getting Latinos to have babies. And she's like, oh no, no, don't write that. yeah, maybe you can go into politics as a Republican. I hear you, okay, but she had to talk him out of it. She's like, this could even hurt your career. Don't write this, okay? And then she had to construct an essay, and he could barely write it. I mean, it's a mess. And here they studied, the CNN did basketball and football stars. In her experience, the worst was baseball players.
Was baseball players?
Yeah, she's like, man, if you thought basketball and football was bad, wait till you get a load of baseball.
Well, here are some other numbers that CNN managed to find. They said that 10% of revenue sport athletes there were reading below a 4th grade level. So that is actually found by University of Oklahoma professor Gerald Gurney, as you saw there. And so this has been studied by a number of people, and it continues to be a big problem. And one of the biggest issues is, first of all, yes, you are passing athletes that just have not learned anything in high school or in college. So that leads to grade inflation. Professors feel pressured to pass them. But then that kind of puts into question the credibility and legitimacy of your own institution, right? Because you have students there that deserve to be there. They've worked really, really hard to get there. And if stories like this make headlines, then people are going to question whether or not it's worth sending their students or their children to your university.
Of course, look, the sad reality is they're not. Right, so like Stanford does the same thing, right? Maybe not to the degree that some of the other schools do, but maybe, right? And they've got great athletes, et cetera. Now, the Ivy Leagues, by the way, don't give scholarships based on athletics, so that's why their sports suck. Keeping it real.
But maybe that's the right way to go
But it is the right way to go.
Yeah.
Then if somebody went to an Ivy League school, well, you have some degree of confidence that they earned it, right? And they just happen to be good athletes, right? But when you get to the other schools, is somebody going to say, I'm not sending my kid to Stanford? Did you see about their athletes? Nobody's saying that. They're not saying it about Michigan. They're not saying it about North Carolina. On the other hand, if I meet somebody from Stanford, I'm sorry that I'm just randomly using them. We can stick with UNC that had the problem in the first place. If I meet somebody from UNC, I'd be like, oh, that's a nice school, right? And if they say, hey, I played baseball there, I'd be like, oh, okay.
What is it about baseball? Like, why is it that the baseball players suck so much?
Well, actually, at the professional level, it makes sense because less of them went to college. Because a lot of them skipped college. Why at USC, in my one anecdotal case, they happen to not be as bright as even the other sports, I don't know. That's just one anecdotal thing.
Yes.
I wouldn't take that too seriously. But about all these athletes, they're not held to the same standards, right? So, well, then you know that you got an issue.
So UNC did respond to this, and they responded by having a number of excuses, in my opinion. Here are the excuses that they gave to CNN. They said that some athletes don't aim for high scores when taking entrance exams, looking only to score high enough to become NCAA eligible. Okay. They also said that many times low scores are indicators of learning disabilities, which, by the way, let's focus on that for a little bit, okay? I think that it's so irresponsible and insulting to people who have actual learning disabilities to use that as an excuse for passing athletes that have no business being passed. Just to give you an example, there are some officials or administrators and professors that got interviewed for this, and they said that they would get students that did not have learning disabilities. They were athletes, but they were basically told by officials at the university that, hey, treat this person as though he or she, keep it real, has a learning disability. So you need to tend to him differently.
Look, when I played football in high school, we had one kid with a learning disability, and he couldn't even remember the offensive plays. So it wasn't about school. He just couldn't do it, right? So he just played defense, and he was a great tackle. Okay, let's just keep it real. That's what it was. The rest of them were idiots. Okay, there was no learning disability. And look, of course, there were some smart players on the team. Not a lot. Okay, sorry, brothers who played football with me. I'm sorry I threw you under the bus there. There were some who were smart. Okay, but part of the problem was the great majority of them thought football was their life. So they didn't give a damn about history and science and reading, etc. And so that's part of the issue here. In high school, it's not that they get paid more, and the high school doesn't get paid anymore. It's about the glamour. Oh, he's a big star, right? A big football star, basketball star, etc. When they move on to college, colleges like University of Louisville, for example, make a tremendous amount of money.
$26.9 million. The University of North Carolina, also very profitable with their athletics teams, $16.9 million.
Those are the profits,
yes,
not the revenue, the profits those schools get. So now if you're making $27 million in profit, are you going to be motivated to be like, oh, yeah, he totally passed, didn't he? Sure he did. I mean, besides which, he's got a learning disability. Yeah, no, the real disability was throughout the entire process, you let him slide. One of the kids that they mentioned in the story, and again, it's not just about University of North Carolina, there's 21 schools that CNN looked at. One of the kids wanted to learn how to read because he wanted to read about himself in the paper when he did well. Okay, so we got to fix this system, man. Look, I love those sports just as much as anybody else does, and I want them to play great, and I want to watch it, right? But I also don't want those guys to grow up to be idiots, right? And if we're not doing them any favors by constantly passing them and giving them easier standards, right? Because a lot of them last about 2.5 years in those leagues, and then they're fucked, right? You burn through the money, and then you can hardly read, then what are you gonna do?